In the last episode, we received a call from someone with a BTS problem. Let's hear that again.
My aunt is weirdly obsessed with BTS for some reason. Wish I looked like one of those Korean guys so I could fuck her. Not even gonna lie.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to We Should Be Writing, the podcast where we unpack and take a non-judgmental look at your scandalous and not-so-scandalous university confessions, in association with @universityconfessions.za on Instagram. I guess we have even more to unpack in today's episode. Let's get into it. Previously, we dove into the K-pop industry, but this time around, we want to get into the main reason behind this industry's wild success: the fans. To really get into the nitty-gritty of the topic, the best case study would be what many would consider the largest fandom at the moment: BTS's ARMY. ARMY are some of the most dedicated supporters out there, and that's exactly what they are: supporters. BTS has encouraged their fans to be more than just fans. Immersing them into a community is a very big part of being ARMY. Omnia Hassan, an ARMY member, explains just how involved fans can become.
The one thing I like about BTS is they bring, thanks to them, I was able to make so many friends that I'm sure will last a lifetime. Their music advocates for so many things, self-love being the most important, and we literally couldn't thank them enough for that.
Relationships are the foundation of being ARMY, and fans have fallen in love with more than just BTS's music. They have fallen in love with what they stand for, how they treat others, and how they treat one another. ARMY finds comfort in BTS. Just ask Bianca Mdhluli.
They are my comfort, my happy place, and I'm very grateful for finding them again. I would do this over and over again. I'd want to be an ARMY in my next lives as well.
One of the main reasons ARMY loves BTS is because they make fans feel accepted and supported. Despite the physical distance between ARMY and BTS, when fans listen to their music, they feel as close as ever. This is what ARMY member Kiara had to say.
BTS teaching you how to love yourself, be in your own skin and accept it is just something I'm so grateful for, because I myself learned how to love myself through them.
Now, the dedication of these fangirls is something to marvel at, but let's assess that word, fangirl. Back with me to discover what exactly this word means and how it takes shape are Tylin Moodley and Tannur. So, according to basic definitions of the word, a fangirl is a girl or a woman who is an extremely or overly enthusiastic fan of someone or something. But it has evolved to simply describe an extremely dedicated fan, and the term can also be used for other genders. So, Tannur and Tylin, are you fangirls? I know I definitely am.
Yep, I am definitely a fangirl.
I wouldn't consider myself a part of ARMY. However, I can appreciate the love ARMY members have for the band. Myself once being a directioner.
Well, with all of us having some sort of fangirl experience, what do you think makes this aunt love BTS? What do you think about the psychology of being a fangirl, according to, this very interesting confession that we had to go through for this episode?
I think when I was a fangirl, it was basically my tween years, 11, 12, 13-ish. When I look back, it was more so being a part of a community. My friends were directioners, we spoke about the band, we listened to their music, we bought their merch. So I think it was more so being a part of something than it was actually it being a band, if that makes sense.
I get that.
Yeah, I suppose from my perspective, in the K-pop sense, let's say, at first, I remember my sister, trying to get me to watch all these videos, and she would, show me clips. I think it was, of Stray Kids and 17. and I would just like not be interested at all. And then one day I think like I saw on TV or something, BTS song "Boy with Love" with Halsey, and I was like, oh, okay, this stuff's like actually quite good. And then from then on, I think it was like a downward spiral. I'm joking. Yeah, then I just got into BTS. I got into other K-pop groups. So like that has been my experience with like K-pop and then being like a fangirl.
For me, it was like, okay, I love pop music very unashamedly. Like, I love pop music. So I loved every single group you could think of out there, like Little Mix, One Direction, 5 Seconds of Summer. I was there.
I was there with you.
Brilliant, because like I think one of the common misconceptions for most people is that when you are into like a girl group or a boy group, automatically the music has to just be like bad, vapid pop music or whatever. And that in and of itself is kind of really stupid, because it's like pop music isn't always trying to like have a message. There is pop music with a message out there, but sometimes it's just like, it's just really well produced, good times in the form of an MP3. And what is wrong with that? So my experience with being a fangirl was definitely driven by like, I just really love music and I just really want to listen to different kinds of music, and damn, pop music is fun. Oh my God.
Pop music is fun, and I think being a fangirl is associated with increasing dopamine. You know, the happy chemical that is released in one's brain. Low levels of dopamine are associated with depression, insomnia, fatigue, amongst other symptoms, and can be reduced by listening to music that makes you happy. In this way, I think being a fangirl can be healthy.
It is so healthy. Although it would look like it's unhealthy from the outside, like I would 100% recommend being a fangirl just because of just the boost of energy that you get from listening to someone that you really love or appreciate, or like when you see a YouTube video come up with like your favorite boy band doing a random vlog or whatever it is. It feels really frivolous, but like the joy that you can get from that can go a really long way.
And I think it's more than just the joy that comes from the band. It's the joy that comes from being a part of something bigger than just a band. You know, it's the joy that comes from being in a space where people have a shared love for something and express the same interest.
So like being a fangirl is like commonly associated with like immaturity and is considered a phase that one will outgrow. So this is like according to Melanie Cook, the writer of Fangirls, Who We Are and What We Can Teach You About Love. But like also this thing that like fangirls is associated with like boy bands and like especially also like pop music in a way, because like when you have like other groups or like other artists, you can still be a fangirl of that, and it's just like this definition of fangirl, I suppose. Because like I don't know, I love rock music and like punk music and stuff, but like the association of fangirl towards those groups is not like as negative in a way as the association with boy bands and stuff.
One thing that I really found interesting when doing research about this whole idea of the fangirl is just how important being a fangirl is for young girls, especially when they are growing up. Like, it is something that is generally, like, I guess, ridiculed. But Bridie Connellan, a Capitol Records executive, wrote an amazing essay called Consuming Man Candy. And it explains that these artists provide young girls with a non-threatening space to explore their attractions and sexuality. And I just think that was one of the most interesting things that I read all year. What do you guys think about this?
I think it's quite an interesting way to look at it, especially when you are a young girl, you know, when you are in your sort of tween years, early teen years, because you're not considering the boy band, for example, as man candy. You know, they're just a boy band that you like. But I think, like, you know, hindsight is a beautiful thing. If you look back and you're like, oh, I like this boy band, you know, you don't know them personally, but they all have these sort of characteristics that you're interested in.
Yeah, I like the way, like they said, non-threatening space, because it's just like you listening to your band, your favorite band or whatever, and you just like relate to the music.
In this essay, it was also very interesting because she talks about how they present a certain version of masculinity that is very removed from the normal presentations of masculinity that we have to encounter in the world. So I think that's why BTS is such an interesting case study, because me and Tylin were actually talking about this one day. Like, the way that they presented themselves at their debut time, they were so like out there in your face, wearing chains, like,
masculine and
like grrr. But like later on, they started to develop this persona of like this like soft boy kind of thing, where it's like, love yourself tier, oh, fake love. But like, it gives women the space to be able to find a masculinity that is shaped within their own gaze, as opposed to like, I'm kind of like weirdly dancing right now to like try and like show like how they used to behave, but I don't know if that makes any sense.
I think it does make sense. You know, Tylin showed me, Tylin, you can just chime in and get the exact name of the song because I don't want to mess it up here, but showed me BTS's first music video versus her first music video that she watched. And I said to her, I was like, this is a completely different band. And it's just interesting how they've adapted over time, how they've adapted to the needs and demands of their audience. Going back to our first, the first part of the K-pop Mania series, if you will, is looking at how fangirls just impact on the band. So the band impacts on the fangirl and the fangirl impacts on the band, which is quite interesting. And just looking back at streaming and how fangirls stream songs, stream their music, try and get them to the top of the charts is also really interesting.
It is very, very interesting. Like, I think Tylin can say more about this one, but like there's a whole culture behind streaming in K-pop fandoms. Like, it's nothing like you've ever seen in any other fandom before.
Yeah, so like, I don't know, I'm not really much into like streaming and stuff. Like, I don't know much about that, but I do know like people will literally like be on their phones all day. Like, they'll just be streaming music. Like, that's like their job in quotation marks. Yeah, to just be streaming to make sure that their band will be number one on the charts, basically.
There are even these like streaming target like infographics that they post. Like, I remember around the time of, what was it, Jack in the Box, J-Hope, one of the members of BTS, he was releasing his like solo project just like right after the hiatus for BTS had started. Sorry,
what year was this? Just to put it
this
in context.
Oh, they've been putting us through it this year. Let me tell you something, Tannur. But as soon as we're coming out, and I was like a recent ARMY, so like I didn't even really know or understand what was happening when I'd go on Twitter and I'd search like J-Hope, for example, and there'll be like streaming targets, and they would have these infographics telling you how to stream, what to do to make sure your stream goes through. Like, there's a whole thing on YouTube where you have to switch off your autoplay and play the video right through to the end. Otherwise, the stream doesn't count. And that way, you are taking away from his chances of breaking records. And in fact, he landed up breaking quite a few records with Jack in the Box. There was something like, he reached a certain streaming target that honestly like rivaled any solo releases from anyone in K-pop over the last like 5 years.
The fans not only support the band, but support each idol individually. You know, I think it says a lot about the fandom, a lot about who ARMY is, and a lot about the support that they have not only for the band, but for the individual members, for each other. And I just think that the sense of community is really special.
So I think we've covered all the basics of the wonderful and crazy world of K-pop. If we haven't, be sure to tweet us and let us know some of your thoughts, your theories, and your own personal experiences, as hopefully, I would hope you're calling yourself this after this episode, a fangirl. Been listening to K-pop Mania, Part 2, an episode of the We Should Be Writing podcast. This podcast is a product of the Honours in Journalism and Media Studies program at the Wits Centre for Journalism in Johannesburg. Our producer was Tana Anders, our editor Tylin Moodley, and our show host Rufaro Chiswo. Our theme music was composed by Mdhluli, and our graphic design was by Rufaro Chiswo. Additional episode music credits and info are available on our Anchor FM page. On all social media, we are at Vidsvuvuzela, and you can see more of our work on vidsvuvuzela.com.